and we should be live. So I doubt anyone's here at this very second, but let me go ahead and get this link out here, and we should have a few people hanging out with us. So copy the URL. There's probably a way better way to do this, but as you're about to find out, this is me starting something kind of brand new. So we are going to go in, make sure that it's going to set up properly. I always use a Twitter card validator to make sure it's going to load up something that looks respectable. So we're going to tweet that out. I'm very much a believer in the idea of you tweet out, go ahead and let people know, but go back and delete it a little later. Because I think the thing that I hate, you're going to hear my phone go off a couple of times. I hate seeing that somebody went live, but finding out about it 20 hours later. And then I'm like, oh, well, cool, whatever. And then I don't know what to do with that. So I kind of move on. I always feel like, thanks for letting me know that I missed out. So maybe I'll screw up, but I plan on going back and deleting that tweet after, say, like 2 or 3 hours, because it won't be relative anymore, you know? Let's go ahead and close that. And let's see. I'm going to go ahead and notify the Discord. Make my announcement there. Now they know. And yeah, so here we are. We are live. I wanted to start doing this. First off, this is probably kind of odd in that there's not a lot of structure to it. This is really going to be me just kind of rambling and feeling out what I want to do. I have a problem where if I want to do something, I want to make sure it's perfect before I start. And that doesn't work. Like, anyone who's a creator can probably tell you, if they have a decent amount of insight into their own process, you can workshop something to death and never get where you need to be. I have always wanted to do something kind of like this. Like, for those that don't know, I am the dungeon master and the creator of World Walkers. It's a D&D podcast. And because it's a podcast, I really like to produce. I like to work and make sure things are right and perfect. I love the editing process. Because that's my mentality, I do that for everything. So there's always these things that I want to do like this that I sit on, I wait because I want to make sure if I do it the way I want to do it, and it has to be perfectly structured. Even before I went live, I was like, let's work on some overlays first. I gotta get my overlays in order. I gotta get this in order. No, I don't. There's no overlays. I said screw it. I'm not even trying to do overlays right now because I don't know what this is. I don't know what it's going to be. This might be an ongoing series. Like, in my head, you know what I'd like to do? I kind of like the idea of like morning startups. Like, every morning I go live for who knows how long. Excuse me. And we just kind of talk and start our mornings, because I think starting off your morning with a little bit of fun and positivity, it does way more for you than doom scrolling on Twitter. So I thought about doing something like that. But I keep getting these ideas, and I don't go anywhere with them because I keep workshopping them before they actually do anything. So I just got ready for the day. I've got physical therapy in a little bit. And so I said, screw it. I'm just going to turn on the camera. We're going to live stream. We're just going to go. We're just going to do it and start something. And I'm going to keep doing this. That's the goal, is I'm going to keep doing this until it turns into what I want. Because the truth of the matter is, like, some of the best advice I ever heard was just start whatever you're going to start, because it's going to be terrible. Like, the first thing that you make is going to be way worse than what it's going to be. So just start, make your stuff, get it out, and get it out of the way so you can get to the good stuff. So that's me today. So I've got kind of a weird list of things I kind of want to work down, and we're going to see what feels the most natural. We're going to see what works, if there's anyone here, maybe none of you are here. We're going to see what you guys like the most, so I can kind of get an idea, because I make the half joke that I am not an artist. I am an entertainer. An artist can make something, and if nobody comes to see it, generally speaking, they're glad they made it. I want to make stuff people want to watch. I want to entertain people. If no one likes what I'm doing, then let me do something else to, I don't want to be the comedian that doesn't make anyone laugh. It's not fun. So I kind of want to find a middle ground of doing stuff that we're all kind of into. Obviously something I care about and I'm passionate about. You're not going to watch me jump into the chess game. But so we're going to kind of ramble and see where this goes. I got a little list of things I want to cover, and we'll see. So one thing I want to do is I want to talk about where I'm at. Anyone who is here probably knows about my current situation. If you don't know, I am somebody that has cancer, and I've been going through treatments and dealing with that for the last 3 years. As of recently, it has progressed to become far more aggressive, and so we're really having to up our battle strategy and make some adjustments and changes and stuff like that. One of the things that happened recently is that it got into my bone in my left hip, and it cracked through my femur, and so now not only am I dealing with the normal stuff, normal now, but I'm also going through physical therapy as we assess my femur and see, like, is it going to heal? If it is, what's the timeline? What are the exercises I can do? I have tumors that are pinching my nerves, and so one of the exercises I have to do is I have to train my nerves to find the signal again, so that they respond to me wanting to move the leg. So those are, it sounded easy when they told me what I had to do. That was way harder in practice. So I'm doing that stuff. But for those that want to know, I'm actually doing pretty well. All things considered. I miss, obviously, like I have a walker off to the side that I use for balance and stuff like that. And there are things I need help with. And hey, how's it going? If you can see this, I'm here, but might not be active as usual. Hey Bob, what's going on? No, hang out, man. Do whatever you want to do. So I have the walker. I use it for balance and to keep. I'm on what's called toe touch. I can't put any real stress on my left leg. But overall, like all things considered, I feel good. There are things that, I can't go outside and play, right now, but I'm really hopeful. We're going to get more information next week. Hopefully, I'm doing a checkup with orthopedics. I forget the word. Anyway, I'm going to meet with my bone doc and hopefully get some good news. So I'll keep you guys updated. So that with that out of the way, I also wanted to talk about, I want to talk about World Walkers, which is the podcast I do. The reason I'm going to bring it up is I try to find a balance, right? I don't want to talk about all the things that I'm going to do because, there's a number of reasons business-wise why you shouldn't tell everyone everything you're doing. But I've been really sitting on this for a while now, and I think on camera, talking about it, I can really express what one of the next projects is and why I'm so excited about it. And it's going to get a little personal, so hang out with me. I am going to be starting up a bi-weekly game through Patreon. For those that don't know, I have a Patreon, patreon.com/worldwalkers. One of the tiers on there is that you can join a game. Like I run the game. They're set inside the podcast story and universe. So you're not just playing a random game, or you're not playing like an adventure module or adventure path you can buy from somewhere. It's all custom, homebrew, and your story affects the podcast story and the podcast worlds and stuff. So, but what I do is that tier is priced. I can actually explain the pricing. To join the games, it's $50 a month, which the reason it's priced that way is that I did a bunch of research, and professional GMs, they charge anywhere from 100, 150 to $200 a session, or no, a month. Sorry, and when I first looked at all this, I was like, that's way too expensive. I don't think it's too expensive. I think that you're worth what you can charge. Don't get me wrong. But if I'm going to run games, I personally want to run games for people that don't normally get to play or don't have the means to. And I thought, like, if I price it too high, I'm not catering to the people that I care about. Like, I know I charge, in terms of the comparison of what other people charge, way less. I know that, like, if I were charging what the going rate was, I would make a lot more money in theory. But I think that there's a community being served just fine by all those other GMs. And it's awesome. And I don't think they should lower their, I'm not here to besmirch their pricing. But I wanted to give access to people who didn't have that kind of money and who didn't normally get to play. Like, that's what I personally cared about. So I keep, that's why that tier's priced that way. And the reason it's priced that way is it comes out to $10 a week, plus you get access to the $10 tier. That's my reasoning. 10, 4 weeks, $40 plus the $10 tier, $50. Like, when the math makes a lot of sense like that, it's very easy for me to feel comfortable selling it. So one thing, I think that the audience is being served pretty well by that. But what I hear about every now and then is people who say, I would love to join, but I can't do a weekly commitment. Like, I can't take my Friday nights or whatever. And as much as I want to, I just can't. Like, there's another group of people who also want to play D&D, but they can't pull that off, you know? And if the sound, let me know if the sound's okay. I didn't get a chance to double check it. So if anyone's here and is listening and hears a sound, let me know if I'm doing something wrong. But anyway, so there's a whole other group of people who their problem, on top of everything else, is time. And so I've been asked to run bi-weekly games for a long time, and I just didn't have the opportunity. And I have that opportunity now. So I'm going to open up a new tier, and it's going to be a different price. It's going to be $25 a month, and it's going to be bi-weekly. So every other week, we're going to run a game. And cool. Thank you very much. Nice and clear sound. Good. It'll be $25. I guess technically the pricing would be like 30, but I think I'm going to go 25. 25 is easier to, like, people, that number is way more fun. When it comes to sales, like, your number has to be appealing to somebody. Selling something for $13 is weird, but selling something for $15 or $14 is a weird number. 15, someone's more likely to look at, because 15 is a more round. There's a whole bunch of stuff going into sales. But anyway, by my logic, it should be priced at 30, but I think I'm going to go 25. We'll see, right? 25 is what I'm saying. I said it here, so I guess you can hold me to it. If you're here, the price is 25 for you. But here's why I'm so excited about it, okay? I'm doing something very, very different than what I would ever normally do. The game that I'm going to run does not take place in the World Walkers universe. It's something completely different. This is where it gets a little personal. The reason I'm doing this in part is because a year ago, I lost my brother to COVID-related reasons. And I have struggled a lot with, the whole thing, right? Obviously, and how do you this, but also as someone who creates, as somebody who can do more than, I don't want to say do more, it sounds weird, but as someone, I want to do something that kind of like honors them and remembers them. I want to do something that kind of keeps them out there. I don't know. Like, we have a podcast, World Walkers Cog, and that's like a self-contained story, and he's in there. He's one of the stars, and you can listen to him, and that's been great for me. I love going back and listening to it. It really helps. But I felt like I should do more, and I I really wanted to do something in podcast, something creatively for my brother, and I almost had it. And maybe I'll go into why. I originally I was going to run a game in his world. Him and I, he created this world called Tia Brew, and he ran games in it. And he asked me for like I would work on it with him a lot, and we kind of started like really putting it together, and it's really cool. And it's canonically in the World Walkers universe and all that stuff. And I had considered running that game and turning it into a podcast and all this stuff to kind of like bring his story, his old stuff to life. And I was really into it, but due to some recent events, which maybe I'll talk about, if you guys want to hear, I'll talk about it. It's really personal, but I also don't mind sharing. I just want to make sure I'm talking about stuff you guys actually want to hear about. I decided not to. I decided that wasn't the way I was going to go with it, but I still wanted to do something. And man, it hit me. There's a game that we used to play all the time, and we had an ongoing campaign that took place in, but it wasn't World Walkers related. It was actually based off of a video game, and man, we kept going back and forth in that game. We would run it for my cousin. I would run it for my cousin and my brother and some friends, and then we'd have some other friends jump in it, and like on and off. Every now and then, we're like, you know what we should do? We should go back to that game. And we would jump back in, and it would always like it kept changing because like it'd be like years in between games, you know. Sometimes like we'd go into like new areas, but the game that it was based off of was it was like a cornerstone of our lives. The game series is Final Fantasy, right? And man, we just grew up on it. He loved Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. That was his game. And then he dug into Final Fantasy 2, Final Fantasy 4, as it is now, and he loved it. And then when I started playing Final Fantasy 6, oh my God, it was Final Fantasy 3 at the time. Numbers are fun. God, that formed such a core piece of our lives at the time. And it all culminated into Final Fantasy 11. There's an MMO, and my God, like we played that game all the time. We were hooked. Like we lived our lives in that game, and it's that kind of thing where you know what, like sometimes people get a lot of junk, get a lot of trash thrown at them for playing an MMO too much. And I'll tell you right now, like. Did I play it too much? Yeah. Was it literally unhealthy? Yeah. It's bad things, bad habits formed because of that. I'll tell you what, wouldn't change 1 fucking second. 1 second in retrospect. Like, yeah, we played it too much. Yeah, we could have been doing other stuff, man. But those memories are there forever. Like going through these jungles and traveling around and having to like explore these brand new areas, trying to like I was a summoner, so I had to go earn my summons. I had to actually go battle them and unlock them. Like if I wanted Titan, I had to go battle Titan. If I wanted Ifrit, I had to go battle Ifrit. God, we still talked about that game years later, you know, and that even we eventually played Final Fantasy 14 as well, which is still out right now. And Final Fantasy is such a that series is such a core part of my brother's life and my life. And I had the idea, and once it hit me, like, do you ever have an idea that like it crawls in your brain and that's fuck you? It's done. You know it. The idea hit me so much that I can feel it in my heart, and I get like emotional thinking about it. So I decided what I want to do is I want to bring our experiences from those games. I want to bring the campaign we used to run back, and that's going to be how I kind of hope, you know, keep my brother around a little longer in some way, is by running that game. I'm so excited about it. I'm going to bring back all the stories we used to do and stuff. I just going to want to bring it back into a thing. So the game that I'm going to run through Patreon at the $25 tier. It's going to be a bi-weekly game, and it's called Distant Memories, a Final Fantasy game. Okay? Distant Memories. I'm gonna put the call out. I'm gonna let I want people to join, obviously, but the reason I'm putting a little extra care is this: people can join. They join the Patreon tier, $25. They get into the game, but I'm looking for a certain kind of group. I want people. It's going to be highly encouraged. It's not. You're not going to be outlawed or outruled technically, but if you have a decent mic, that's going to carry you a lot farther than normal. Because of this, I'm turning it into a podcast. Like, I want this to be something that lives on. Like, it's great. Like, I want it to be a game for us and all that stuff, but the people that join are going to join, and they're going to be the stars, as it were, of the podcast. And I'm going to put it out there. And I'm really, really excited about this. I want to share all the stuff that Frank and I used to do. I think anyone that knows World Walkers might find it interesting, because there are concepts and ideas that started in our old Final Fantasy game that I took and spun over into World Walkers. So, for instance, there was a kid that my brother used to hang out with. He had the weirdest name, and I put him in the Final Fantasy games as a reoccurring NPC. And every time he showed up, he had a different job, like what's what they call classes in Final Fantasy. And he would show up, and I wouldn't describe him right away. And Frank would be like, "What does he look like? Who is this?" And I would start to describe him. He's like, "Are you kidding me?" And I would announce his name in like this very like almost Smash Brothers announcer's voice, and then declare his job. And so it'd be like one time Frank's character was having a real hard time trying to get a room in an inn, and the innkeeper was really on him. It was a really bad situation, and this NPC showed up and smooth talked him into getting out of the way and letting Frankie do his thing, right? And Frankie asked who it was, and I said, I said he's a man of a certain demeanor, very familiar face. You've actually met him before. And he goes, "Are you kidding me?" And I said, "No." Well, he's like, "What's his name?" Because he knew who it was. And I said, "His name is Ben Manley, Mediator." Benjamin Manley in the podcast is one of what's known as one of the five masters. He's one of the five gunslinging masters of the steam-powered world of COG. But he started off, he's a Final Fantasy character. That's where he comes from. He comes from both the name in real life, Benjamin Manley, which is just the best name. But the character comes from the Final Fantasy games we used to play. I took that character and thought it'd be cool to put him in World Walkers as a nobleman who is forced to take up the way of the gun and become a gunslinger. That's a concept that starts there. In Final Fantasy, there are these giant robotic creatures, and I think they're called Iron Giants. I'd have to look it up. You don't want to see me look stuff up right now. Maybe you do, I don't know. But let's say I'm right, Iron Giants, right? There is like this whole kind of like almost like half technologically advanced area in the campaign world where the Iron Giants roam. And the king of the Iron Giants is Melkor. That is like, I put that in World Walkers. If you are a fan of World Walkers and you listen to the Final Fantasy podcast I'm going to do, you're going to see where some of the ideas came from and how they ended up. Maybe they're a little different, but how they came, how they started. So I think that might be fun for people who know the podcast. Now, I'm super excited about this. I've got a lot of really cool ideas. I've written up a couple adventures already to start with. I'm going to be announcing the tier outside of this really soon, and I'm going to start taking. I'm going to open it up and find out who wants to join, and then what times they're available at and stuff like that. It's probably going to happen on Mondays. That's kind of like my big goal. My physical therapist is on their way. That's my big goal, is to have that happen really, really soon. So if you're interested, keep a lookout at the Pedro Galicia on Twitter. My name is fun, right? PEDROGALICIA. Anyway, or World Walkers Pod. I'll announce it in both places. I'm going to announce it on our Discord. I'm going to announce it on our Patreon, patreon.com/worldwalkers. And I'm super excited about it. I'm going to open it up and start taking people. And if you're interested, like, keep a lookout. It's going to be a podcast that really, really means a lot to me. So thanks for listening to all that. That's what I'm doing, and I'm super hyped. It's actually, speaking of podcasts, it's I can talk a little bit, I guess, while we're here. So why am I not running Tia Brew? Why am I not running Frank's campaign? I'll tell you why. This is a really, really personal story. Some of you may know that I was in the hospital for like a week and a half, my fracture, and that's when we discovered how aggressive my cancer was. How it's, I mean, I think if you don't know, I don't mind sharing it a little bit right now. Like, it's really aggressive. Like, if it goes bad, it's going to go bad really fast. It's something that, it adds a whole new facet to how I deal with things. But, we've got plans, and we're doing our thing. But it is something that, I have to think about, right? Something I certainly, when I was stuck in a hospital for a week and a half in one fucking bed, I had a lot of time to think about that, right? When you're in the hospital for a certain amount of time, it's not uncommon for you to get visited by their chaplain. Essentially, if you don't know, they're resident religious type person. And all the times I've been in the hospital, I've never had a chaplain come in and try to talk religion. They're just really good listeners. And we had a really long talk. We had a really, really long, like 2-hour long talk. And, I told him, like, when I get out of here, I really want to buckle down. Like, I feel like I'm someone that doesn't try to take time for granted, but when learning of the severity of my condition, when learning about exactly what I'm up against and how little time I might have if things go south, if they go south, I got stuff I want to do, guys. But how do I prioritize? I've got anywhere from like 6 to 10 different like ideas for games in my head, different campaigns I want to run, different stories I want to run. How do I do it? Like, how do I sort this? How do I know that what I'm doing is the thing I should be doing? I think anyone asks that question of themselves at any point in time, but it felt especially pertinent to answer that question, And the advice he gave me just like punched me in the gut. We had a lot of good talks, like I said, but the advice he gave me, he said, this is what I would do. I would sit down and I would ask myself, if you only could tell one more story, your last story, what would it be? Be honest with yourself. What's your last story? Tell it. And when you're done, take a long, hard look, and you ask yourself, if you had one more story, if you only had one more story left to tell, what's the last story you would tell? And you just keep repeating it. That's how I would move forward. That's my advice to you. And it's basically, like he's saying, you just assume that the story you're about to tell is the last one that you're ever going to be able to tell. I think that that's great advice that you can hear normally. And I tell you all, do the same thing. Live life as if it's your life. That advice is good advice. But I'll tell you, it fucking hits different when it might be true. And I thought about that a lot. The next season of World Walkers, because we're wrapping up this season pretty soon. If you're listening to the podcast, you might be able to tell we're getting close to the end. When it's over, I'm moving on to a new campaign, right? The next season of World Walkers. That season, I'm telling like it's my fucking last. In my notes, it's called World Walkers. I think it's called Once More, One More Time, or One Last Time. I'm going to tell my last story, and if I have more time, I'll tell my next last story. And that was going to be Tia Brew, but I didn't. That was when it wasn't my last story. If I only have one more story, it's not going to be in that world. It's going to be something else. I sat down long and hard. It took me a while to write it, but I've already written up chunks of it. It's going to do some very different stuff than I normally do in World Walkers, I think. But I'm treating it like it's the last one I'm doing. I don't want to be my last one. I'm going to keep going. But that's where we're going with it. Hello? Hey, what's up? Hi. You're on camera, yeah? There's food? Oh. Well, maybe I'll go say hi. This is Jess, Hopscotch. This is Willow, my daughter.
And
Unicorn Willow from Rainbow Cafe, yeah. Okay, well, it sounds like it's time to eat, so I'm going to wrap this up. I got physical therapy coming in like 2 minutes anyway. So, thank you all for hanging out and listening. I really like doing this. I don't know, like, tell me what you think. Like, this, something works when you might do it even if you guys don't like it. This felt good. I like opening up. I like talking. I like being real. I think that's my thing is, like, I struggle a lot with knowing whether or not how I come off is legit. Like, I don't want to write a puff piece. I don't want to write and make it seem like it's a sales pitch. Like I get like horrible anxiety about it. Like you wouldn't believe the level of anxiety like I get about it. It's bad. So I like this. I feel like if I can talk to you, then you can see that at least I'm telling the truth. Whether or not you're interested, at least I'm not fucking lying. I can be real. I can show my emotion. I really like doing this. This was really fun. I hope it worked for you guys too. But I will talk later. I had a whole bunch of other stuff I was going to talk about actually. But yeah, I'm going to come back. I'm going to do this again. I hope, like I said, that it's something that you guys were interested in. So thank you so much. I'll talk to you later. And yeah, I guess that's about it. Thanks, everyone.